Right. So today we are going to discuss about how to write a project proposal. In fact, you are in a process of selecting your mini project topic. And once you select your mini project topic, the first thing that you should do is you should come up with a project proposal. So today I'm going to brief you how to write a project proposal, right? So let's begin with the concept. What is actually the project proposal? It is the initial document that is used to define a project. I'll repeat, it is the initial document that is being used to define the project. The project may be internal project or external project. So what I mean by internal or external project, this is in context with a generic definition of project proposal. It may be academic project or it may be a project that you may prepare in a company to describe the idea for a new project, new product, something like that. So maybe the project proposal is meant for the internal stakeholders, or it may be meant for the external people like your clients or some other agency who is going to fund your project or something like that. Okay, and that is why we have defined here the project proposal as the initial document that is used to define an internal or external project. So the project proposals are a great way to secure funding, win new clients, or convince the executive or the higher authorities to allocate resources to the project. So why actually we are writing this project proposal? The project proposals are actually written to convey your project idea in detail, right, to the readers. The objective to write the project proposal in general may be to secure funding. So many times we write the project proposals because we are in need of some funding that needs to be utilized for projects. So many times we write project proposals to secure the funds from some agencies or from your company, right? Then if you are proposing a new project or a product, and if you want to gain new clients for your project, then the project proposal can be written in a way such that you can win new clients with respect to whatever project you are proposing, whatever product you would like to undertake or you would like to develop. Also, the project proposals are written to convince the higher authorities or the executives to allocate resources to the project. So if you want to undertake any project and if any special requirements are there to develop that project, then obviously you need to convince your higher authorities to allocate the required resources for the project. Okay, so these are typically the wider objectives or the goals why we are writing the project proposals. Now we are focusing upon writing academic project proposal. So why you are writing a project proposal? For your academic need, right? So you are writing academic project proposal to undertake a project and using the project proposal you are supposed to convince the panel or the department. You would like to convince the department how significant that development would be, right? And if required, you would like to convince the department that if you need any kind of special hardware, software, or something like that, then you need to provide the budgetary requirements also through this project proposal, and you should convince the department that why this project is important, what would be the outcome of the project, and what are the requirements of the project in such a way that you can convince the higher authorities so that they will sanction.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So proceed now with the components of academic project proposal. I mentioned earlier that we are more interested right now in writing an academic project proposal. So we are going to focus upon what needs to be included in such a project proposal. Okay. So see here, the outline of the project proposal is being given here. So what we have here in the project proposal, we are having a cover page, we are having an abstract for the project, we are having table of contents, right? Then we are having one section of our proposal, that is introduction. Under introduction, we are going to have subsections like background and context and the purpose of the project. Next, we are going to have one more section that deals with literature survey or literature review. Then we'll be having a section that defines the or that states rather the problem statement that you are going to solve. Next, you need to specify clearly the objectives, right, for your project. Then you need to define the scope of your project. Then how you are going to achieve those objectives. So obviously you need to describe the methodology. You need to state whether any special software hardware requirements are there, or whatever is the requirement related to software, related to hardware, you need to mention. Also, you need to write whether whatever is required is available with you or with department, or something need to be procured, right? So that also need to be included. Then you should come up with a timeline or schedule. So how you are going to work with that project proposal, right? So how you are going to implement that project? What would be the schedule? What is the time span that you are going to dedicate for a particular task? Likewise, we need to provide the schedule. Then you should have references, and also the proposal need to be signed by the team members and the supervisor. So the project is proposed by a group of students. So all those team members need to sign that proposal along with whoever is your supervisor or guide, right? So this is how we structure our academic project proposal. We are going to discuss each point, what needs to be written under every title, every section or subsection of this project proposal. You may take down all these points, right? Because you are supposed to write now a project proposal for your mini project, and you need to consider all those points. Okay, shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now, let us discuss all those points, those we have outlined. Okay, one after another. So what is the first point? First point is the cover page. So what is there in the cover page? Okay, the cover page typically includes the project title, right? So it is really very important to come up with a very good project title, effective project title. So you need to select a very specific, clear and unambiguous title, right? It should be very specific. Clearly, the title should indicate what actually you are going to do, right? And there should not be any ambiguity. There should not be any ambiguous words. It should not happen that whatever words you are using in your project title, these sound differently to different people. It should not happen, right? So it should be very specific, very clear, and without having any ambiguity. The title should clearly reflect the focus of your proposal or the objectives of the study. In brief, the title need not be very long. It should be concise, it should be short, but still it should clearly reflect the focus of your proposal, what actually you are proposing. Okay. Now, one important hint that I would like to provide here is, it may happen that initially you decide the title for your project, right? That is okay. But whenever you write your entire proposal, then once again you should revisit, right? Once again you should revisit whatever title that you have selected, because sometimes it may happen that after preparing the entire draft for the project proposal, you may come up with some insights or more insights about your project. And it may happen that after writing the entire proposal, you may get clear insight about your proposed project. And then it may happen that after that, if you once again revisit or rewrite the project title, it would make sense. It would be true representative of whatever you are planning to do, right? So typically, even though you have selected the project title initially, right, don't stick to that. After writing the entire proposal, once again, you need to think of the project title, whether it is effective with respect to whatever content that you have written in your project proposal. Okay, now what else the cover page includes? It includes the names of team members, right? It includes names of team members. Then it includes name of the department, institute. Okay, it also includes name of your guide or supervisor who is going to supervise your project, right? And it also includes the academic year when you are proposing this project. Okay, so the typical format or the typical form of a cover page look like this. So I hope you are able to read the content. See here, this is the title of the project. Then it has been mentioned that project proposal submitted to Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Anna Sahib Dange College of Engineering and Technology, ASTA, by. So these are the team members under the guidance of, this is the supervisor, right? Affiliation of the supervisor and the academic year when the project proposal is proposed. Right? So typically the cover page looks like this. As I mentioned, title should be very clear, very specific, without any ambiguity. It should clearly reflect what you are supposed to do. Okay, so see here, this is the example only. One sample title, vision based leap reading system using deep learning. That is the title. Okay, so carefully think upon the title and come up with very good title. Now, one more important point that I would like to communicate is, whenever you are deciding the title of your project, do not copy any title from any research paper, any document, any article that you are referring to. It should not be as it is. It should not be copied as it is. So it should not be the case that two documents are having the same title. It should not happen. So please make sure that whenever you are writing the title of the project, it should be unique. Right? So do not copy the title as it is from any of your references. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So this was related to cover page. Now let us proceed with abstract writing. So what is abstract? Abstract is a short but sweet description of your project. So abstract should be written such that it is not too descriptive, but still, even though it is not descriptive, it should provide the complete information to the reader. I'll repeat, abstract should be straight to the point. It is not too descriptive, but fully informative. Right? So always you should think of writing the abstract which is very clean, neat, to the point, without any repeated information or unnecessary information. Whatever is really required to convey to the reader at initial stage, only that much content you should have. Right? So what you should include in the abstract? You should include in the abstract briefly the problem to be addressed. The problem to be addressed. Okay, so what you are going to address? What is your project? Okay, then you should write in brief its importance or novelty. So why? Why this problem need to be addressed? That you should mention its importance, its significance. Okay, if something new is there, innovative is there, then emphasize upon that novelty, whatever is innovative, whatever is new that you are proposing, highlight that. Okay, what next? You should also write briefly the approach that you are going to adopt to solve the proposed problem. I'll repeat. You have written now about the problem that you are going to address, right? Why there is a need to address that problem? What is the importance, significance? What is new into that? That also you need to write. Further, how you are going to solve that problem. So the approach, the method that you are going to adopt to solve the problem, that also need to be highlighted. If there is any novelty in the approach, then you should highlight that novelty as well. Okay, so this should be included in the abstract. Along with the abstracts, actually, you should also provide the keywords at the bottom. So these keywords are the points, important points with which if somebody wants to search for the literature documents, then these keywords will help. Right? That, for example, if I am doing something, say for example, I showed you one example of the project proposal for leap reading. So I may write the keyword as leap reading. I may write the keyword as deep learning, because leap reading is being solved. The problem of leap reading is being solved using deep learning technology. So these are the keywords. So whenever the person is searching for leap reading, and if you are providing the keyword like leap reading, then obviously your paper or your document can be searched referring to that keyword, right? And the reader may get benefit out of your document, right? So keywords also need to be included after the abstract. Now, typically, the abstract informs a reader whether to read or not to read the full text. And it gives the precise idea about your proposed work. So usually what happens is the reader is, first of all, reader reads the title. If the title happens to be attractive, if the title happens to be important for the person, then the person thinks of reading your document. So if person thinks of reading your document, then first of all, the reader will read the abstract, right? So if the abstract is really meaningful, if the abstract is giving the clear idea about whatever is the proposed work and how that problem is being solved, then definitely the reader gets interest in reading the full text. If the abstract is not precise, if the abstract is not covering all these details, then it may happen that the reader may lack interest in reading the full text. So it should not happen. So abstract is really very important, because first of all, referring to the abstract, the reader decides whether to go ahead with reading the full document. Right? So abstract should provide the reader precisely about your project. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Now, one more important point that I would like to highlight. Please remember, whenever you write the technical document, any kind of document, now the document that we are focusing upon is the project proposal. So it is proposal, meaning this is the proposed work. You have not worked on that project, right? You have not worked, you have not developed anything about that project yet, right? But you are proposing something. So whenever you write a proposal, the tense that you are making use of while writing it would be the future tense. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So many times it happens that students do not use proper tenses while writing the documents. If it is a project proposal, meaning you are going to work on that proposal, yet you have not worked on that. So don't use the past tense, right? You should use the future tense. It will be implemented. The problem will be addressed. The approach will be used. Okay? Whenever it comes for project report, this is the project proposal, that means the initial document that you are submitting. Whenever it comes for the project report, then what will happen? Whenever you start writing your project report, you have completed your work. You have implemented, you have developed whatever was proposed earlier, right?
Hello,
Yes,
ma'am. How many lines we have to write in abstract?
hardly
That is
200 words, 200 to 250 words.
okay, ma'am.
Right? It should be very concise, short description of your proposed work. Not more than that. Okay? Shall I proceed?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. So let's proceed now with the next component of our proposal, and that is the table of contents, right? Or it can be described as only the contents, table of contents. Okay. Now you are knowing actually the table of contents. Every book also is having the table of contents, right? So what we are having in table of contents, the table of contents should list all the material following it as well as any material that precedes it. What does this mean? See, this is the third component that we are going to discuss. Okay, so before table of contents, we are having abstract, we are having title page or something like that. And after table of contents, we are having lots of other things. Okay, so table of content should include the content or should list the content that was previously addressed and also that is coming next into the flow, right? So in table of contents, even though abstract was written before table of contents, we need to include abstract also in table of contents. Okay, further whatever next we have, that also we are going to include in table of contents. So the title page, abstract may be included in table of content, but now there is some difference related to how we define the page numbers for different types of contents. So whatever precedes the table of content, for that we always use the lowercase Roman numbers as the page numbers. Lowercase Roman numbers as the page numbers for the content that precedes the table of content, and whatever follows table of content, that needs to be numbered as usual, 1, 2, 3, like that. This table of content should list the main chapters or the main sections, subsections, those you are including in your proposal, right? So I'm having here one sample to show you how the table of content looks like. So see here the table of contents. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So see here, this is the abstract, and abstract comes before table of contents. So it is numbered with the lowercase Roman numbers, right? From introduction onwards, we should provide the page number beginning with 1, 2, 3 and so on, right? So see here, this is the first section, introduction. In this section, we are having 2 subsections, right? Then this is the section number 2, that is literature review. Section number 3, that is problem statement and so on, right? So typically the table of contents look like this. Many times there is a confusion in the mind of students whether this is table of contents. Many people wrongly give title to this particular page as index. But at this point, index or the title as index is incorrect. Please keep in mind. This is the contents page. This is table of contents. It is not the index. Many times wrongly the people are using this word as the title for such kind of a document. There is a difference in table of content and index, right? So whatever right now we are talking about is the table of contents, right? What is index? Index is something different. You might have seen index in your book at the end. So at the end of every book, you may have the index. So what is the purpose of that index? Index is typically written in alphabetical order. So whichever are the keywords, whichever are the main words, right, in the entire text, those words are being listed alphabetically under index with the page numbers. So index is typically used to search a particular concept quickly, right? So table of contents is different than index. Later on, we will once again discuss what actually the index means with example. But please right now remember that whatever right now we are talking about is table of contents and not the index. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. So let's proceed now with the next point in the list, and that is the introduction. So introduction is actually very important, or this is the first content that you are writing in your proposal after abstract. Okay. So introduction should provide clear idea of what needs led up to proposing your project. So what is the motivation? Why you are proposing this idea? Why you are proposing this project? So you should provide clear idea about the motivation for proposing your project, proposing your work, proposing your topic, right? Then it should provide brief background of the selected topic. It should identify the importance of the study, why you are supposed to work on this particular topic, what is its relevance, what would be the applicability of the results if you implement this project, who is going to use that, for whom you are developing this project. It should be clearly stated. Also, you need to clearly state the purpose of the study. So purpose actually includes all those things, right? Then you should focus upon background and context. So under that, you should provide the reader with information which they need or which they require to know in order to fully understand and appreciate the entire document. So you are preparing the background for the reader in introduction. You are preparing the background for the reader. So if you are clearly informing the reader about what they should understand before going forward, before going into the details, right? It is really very good. So once you clearly mention the background and the context, then the reader will require less efforts in reading your entire document. So it may happen sometimes that few important points related to the topic need to be informed first to the reader. Okay, before actually going into the details of the project. So that need to be covered here. Okay. Also, you need to write the purpose. So it is a statement of the general objectives in doing this project. So what is the project proposing to accomplish? So what actually you are going to do? Are you trying to apply a new technology? What is the purpose? Why you are doing? If the similar kind of application is already there, then why once again you are going to work on the similar kind of a project? Whether you are going to apply some new technology that is advantageous over the earlier existing system. Are you trying to see if any new algorithm that you are going to propose works for that, for solving that problem? So whether you are proposing any new algorithm, So whatever is the purpose, whatever is the novelty, right? That also you need to mention in the introduction. Is that clear? So by reading the introduction, the reader will understand the background of that topic. The readers will understand the purpose behind the project that you are suggesting. The reader will understand the importance of the project. The reader will understand the applicability of the project. The reader will clearly understand who would be the probable users of the system that you are going to build. Right? So all those details need to be included in introduction. Okay? Now, let us proceed with the next point in the list, and that is literature survey or literature review. In fact, in tutorial sessions, I had a discussion with you regarding this point, literature review or literature survey. So let us once again go through. A literature review is a summary of the relevant literature. Maybe it is in the form of printed documents, or maybe it is in the form of electronic documents or the digital documents. Okay, so a literature review is a summary of the relevant literature which is available with respect to the topic that you are proposing. And the literature review should summarize the relevant literature over a specified period of time. So what it indicates, what I mean by a specified period, whenever we are proposing any project, right, and whenever we are referring to some material, please make sure that the material that you are referring to is recent material in the area of the topic. It should not happen that you are referring to very old methods, very old papers, very old work that was carried out, right? So you need to specify the period of time. So you need to search for the documents or the literature, relevant articles within that specified period of time. Typically, it should not be more than 5 years back. So most 5 recent years you may consider for researching or searching for the relevant literature. Is that okay? Yes. Is that okay? Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now, under literature review, we are supposed to search for the published material with respect to the topic. Okay, so you should search on, or you need to search for whatever material is being published with respect to your proposed topic. Okay, so you may refer to the research papers, you may refer to the articles, you may refer to the websites, blogs, existing applications if any. You may refer to all that. Also, if you would like to really collect additional information about the existing applications, then you may prepare some questionnaires. You may ask the questions to the users, existing users of these similar kinds of systems. You may interview the people. If you would like to design a product, if you like to develop a software, then whatever is the requirement of the people who are going to use that software, ask them what they actually intend to have in the application. Right? So use all such sources of information, right, to gain clear ideas and to understand the state of the art. With respect to your topic. Okay, make sure that you are using peer-reviewed sources. Make sure that you are using some authorized documents. Make sure that you are using some authenticated literature. It should not happen that somebody has reported some results. These results are not reviewed by anybody, right? So there is no authenticity of those results. So do not use such kinds of papers. If you are referring to any research papers, then I would recommend you to read the research papers from the reputed publishers and only use the documents those are having the digital identifier with them. Refer to the research papers or articles, right? Those are indexed by some reputed databases. Okay, say for example, you may refer to IEEE papers. Okay, that too, the IEEE papers which are published in as the transactions or the journals, right? So first preference should be to the transaction papers or the journals. Maybe the publisher is IEEE or ACM or elsewhere or Springer. So these are the reputed publishers in our field in computer science, right? So use the journals or transactions or the papers published by these publishers. So initially search for the transactions or journal papers. Then you may refer to conference proceedings. But do not prefer to use conference proceedings only. Right? The papers, those are published in transactions or journals, are usually peer reviewed. Right? And they are providing the information, results, those are authenticated by somebody, some reviewers. Right? So usually prefer to make use of the documents or articles or the research papers, those are published in transactions, journals, and that too by the reputed publishers. Then you may go for conference proceedings, right? Then you may go for the articles or white papers. Typically, you may refer to the articles or white papers. Those are published by actually the companies who have developed similar kinds of projects. Right? So typically use such kind of authenticated material. You may refer to existing applications. You may work with those existing applications. Try to find out whatever are the pros and cons of these applications. Talk to the users who are using those applications. Find out their needs. Right? Find out their pain points. Okay, and accordingly you need to come up with your ideas. And once you have searched for the relevant material, then you should carefully and accurately cite all that bibliographic information. As I mentioned earlier, if you are using somebody else's work, then proper credit need to be provided to that particular article, that particular book, or that particular author. Right? So don't forget to provide the citations wherever you are using some information from others. Right? It is really very important. right? Now, this is one hint that I would like to provide to you. Whenever you are writing a literature review, you should arrange the material chronologically. So arranging the material chronologically is a good idea so that the reader can understand what has happened, right, in past few years related to that topic. Okay, what next? It is really very important to analyze the selected literature, whatever approaches you have found out. Find out what are the advantages, what are the limitations of those methods, right? Because such kind of analysis will help you to come up with your objectives, to come up with the scope for your work, right? So literature review is really very important, and analyzing the material that you have studied is equally important because it will provide you the good insight about whatever is the work that already is being done in that particular area, and it will also provide you the insight whatever needs to be developed, whatever is not yet addressed that you can work on, right? So analyze all the selected material, okay? Find out the pros and cons of the approaches used by others, and accordingly you should come up with a comparative analysis. Okay, now what next? The next point is the problem statement. So now we are supposed to define our problem statement. Okay, now it is actually a concise description of an issue to be addressed or a condition to be improved upon. I'll repeat, problem statement is a concise description of an issue that you would like to address or a condition that you would like to improve upon. Okay, problem statement typically identifies the gap between the current state in the domain and the desired state of a process or a product. So the gap between whatever is available and whatever is actually required or desired related to a particular process or a product, right? So problem statement actually identifies this gap. Okay, are you getting me? Yes, please speak up. Please speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so I will be giving you more insight about how to come up with a problem statement, right? So let us discuss about the points those we need to focus upon with respect to the problem statements. So I'll be focusing upon these points. So first point is what should be the ideal case. Okay, so this section, while defining the problem statement, this section is used to describe the desired or to be, what needs to be there, okay, or what is desired actually. Okay, so this section is used to describe the desired or to be state of the process or product. So what ideally one wants about the process or the product. It identifies the goals of the stakeholders and customers, as well as it assists in defining the scope. So this section should illustrate what the expected environment would look like once the solution is implemented. I'm going to give you one example, what I mean by all those points. So let us one by one go through these points and then we'll see one example. Okay, so this is the ideal scenario that one is expecting. Okay, now what next? It is the reality. It is the reality. So this section is used basically to describe the current state or as is state of the process or product. So what is there existing? Okay, it explains actually the pain points expressed by the stakeholders or the customers. It should also include the insights and the expertise of the project team and subject matter experts provided during problem analysis. The next point to focus upon is the consequences. So what we mean by that? So this section actually is used to describe the impacts on the business if the problem is not fixed. So you are trying to propose some problem, correct? So you have identified the problem, but whatever is the consequence that can be faced by the stakeholders if the problem is not fixed. So consequences are the impacts. Those can be seen if the problem is not fixed or if the problem is not improved or the solution is not provided in a desired way. So it may include the costs associated with loss of money, time, productivity, competitive advantage, and so on and so forth, right? So the magnitude of these effects will help determining the priority of the project. Okay? Your proposal now. So this section is used to describe now the potential solution. So ideally this was required. This is the reality. Okay, if the problem is not fixed, then these are the consequences that one may face. So you are going to provide the solution, right? So this section is actually used to describe potential solution. So once the ideal reality and consequences have been completed or understood or well defined and approved, now you may offer the options for solving the problem. It may also include suggestions. If you are developing some software, some project, some product, then it may include the suggestions by the stakeholders or the customers, right? But this is actually the proposal for a potential solution. Okay, so in problem statement, we need to focus upon these 4 important points. So let me give you one example how we can write a problem statement for a typical problem, and then we'll conclude this session. The remaining points we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, so see here, suppose we would like to write a problem statement for the creation of a single sign-on capability. For the creation of a single sign-on capability. What it means? So let us first try to understand. Okay, single sign-on capability means many times this is a problem statement given by some company. So typically what happens is whenever the employee starts working with the system every day, then lots of different softwares, lots of different applications need to be used by that particular person. So every time that person needs to input the credentials, right, with respect to every application. right? So what the company wants is, the company wants to develop a system that will create a single sign-on capability, meaning whenever every day morning, whenever employee starts working, he or she will sign on, or he or she will sign in with the credentials only once, and the same credentials will be applicable for all other applications. Those will be utilized by that person. Okay, so on the basis of whatever points we discussed earlier, we are going to write now the problem statement. See here how we are writing. So what is the ideal scenario? Ideally, our users would be able to sign into their laptops, and then automatically they should have access to all of the applications they need to use. So ideally, this is required by the company. So this is saying of a company. What company is saying? Ideally, our users would be able to sign in to their laptops and then automatically have access to all of the applications they need to use. Okay, so this is ideal situation. What is reality? What actual existing scenario? What is existing scenario? In reality, we use at least 3 applications every day to accomplish our work. So this is once again company is stating what is their problem, what is their pain. Okay, so in reality, we use at least 3 applications every day to accomplish our work. Each application is protected by a password with different requirements for username and password length, right? And passwords also expire at different times. So this is the pain point of the company. This is actually what is happening. Every day, a person needs to use minimum 3 applications, right? Each application is protected by a password. Every application is having different requirements for username and length of the password. So the person needs to remember all those passwords, usernames and all. Even we also face similar kind of problem whenever we are using lots of different applications, right? Also, passwords expire at specified times. Okay, and every password expires at different time depending upon whatever is the policy for that application. So this is actually what is happening. Okay, now what are the consequences? So this is the analysis. If this problem is not fixed, so what is the problem? Every time the user need to sign into each application. Okay, and there is no single sign-on facility available. So if this problem is not fixed, then what are the consequences? They are mentioned, like users waste approximately 2 minutes per day logging into multiple applications. Right? So users require 2 minutes per day to log in into various applications. So if the company is having 500 users, then 500 users multiplied by 2 minutes per day. So it comes out to be 1000 minutes. So 1000 minutes in lost productivity. So there is no productivity every day for these 1000 minutes. So 1000 minutes are nothing but 16.67 hours per day. Right? So we are considering 500 users. So every day company is wasting 16.67 hours every day. So if the per hour salary is say $75, then per day loss is $1,250. So this is a huge amount that is being wasted per day. So this is the consequence if the problem is not fixed. or if the solution is not been provided. Further, it is mentioned that help desk resolves approximately 6,000 calls per year to reset forgotten passwords and unlock accounts. So many times it happens that users are not able to recall whatever are the passwords, right? So help desk actually is receiving approximately 6,000 calls per year, and these calls are meant for resetting their credentials or the passwords or to unlock the accounts. So extra efforts need to be put in. Further, there are the security risks as users will not continue, or rather users will continue to write username and passwords on some sticky notes at their desktops. So many times it may happen, we also do that. If I'm using say 10-15 applications and every application is having different username and password, it is not possible for me to remember all those usernames and passwords. So what I can do is I can use some sticky notes, I can use some simple notepads to note down whatever are the usernames and passwords. And it is really very risky. Somebody may see all those details. So it is really very risky. Okay, so that is one more consequence. So if the problem is not fixed, or if the solution is not being provided, then these are the consequences. So now we are having here the proposal. So what is the proposal? Have a software developed. Network administration and business stakeholders collaborate to evaluate potential solutions for a single sign-on capability. So for this, the solution need to be provided. So the problem statement is to provide a software for this particular task. And to prepare this software, first of all, the network administration or the business stakeholders need to collaborate to evaluate the potential solutions for this problem of a single sign-on capability. So ultimately, our problem statement is to develop a software to provide a single sign-on capability. Right? So this is a problem statement ultimately. But to come up with this problem statement, we need to focus upon all these points. So whatever may be your topic, you need to think upon all those aspects.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So few points are remained yet that we are going to cover in the next session. So today let us conclude the session. Thank you.